Mm. Mm. So I've named this episode Power Pūrākau Whiro.
Mm-hmm. Whiro.
So this is just a conversation between you and I, that I'll put on the podcast, right?
Mm-hmm.
And for those listening, um, Pani and I have already had a conversation this morning. So, and those are always gold. We're going to try and reconstruct it. Not reconstruct it, but share it here in a way where we can capture it. Essence, capture the I can hear myself here.
On mine.
Hold on. Yeah, where we can try where we will kōrero about what we kōrero about because it's powerful. So I will give context and then I'll ask some pātai, some questions. But for those of you, there'll be a little bit of an intro, so I can do that there afterwards. Maybe it is my mic, or maybe the sound's coming through your computer back to me. Is that what it
You
might
think
be?
so? If I
Maybe. Oh, you're on mute. You're on mute, so I can't hear myself. You're on mute, so I can't hear myself. Yep. So it must be something to do with that, the coming back.
all right, I'm gonna put my headphones on then so that
Goodbye.
hopefully that'll help.
Goodbye.
Put it on my
Kia ora, kia ora.
no. What do I have to do?
Kaka.
I know.
I just said, I was like, is it kaka?
Oh wait, kōrero mai anō?
Kia ora, kia ora. Kia ora, kia ora.
Pai, yeah, got it.
Ka pai. Yeah, and I can't hear myself.
Okay.
Ka pai. Oh, so today we're going to have a kōrero that we have already had, Hani and I, but we wanted to share it because our kōrero are always powerful. They're always powerful. And just for years now, I've been like, oh, it'd be so good if other people could hear our kōrero. Can you just wait because the dishwasher's beeping and it's going to piss me off. So you kōrero.
I I can quote. What am I going to kōrero on? We were talking. Jade was venting. I was sharing insight. Jade then shared insight. Real simple. And yet powerful stuff.
Very powerful. That thing should be illegal. Ding, ding. All right. So context is I had what some would call like a bit of a breakdown. I was in the doctor's this morning and they were just asking their standard questions, and it was just a time where it was a time where just my stuff was confronting me. Nothing was wrong at the doctor's. That's the funny thing. Most people like get emotional at the doctor because they've just been given bad news or something like that. That was not the case for me. However, and she was talking about something completely unrelated to what I was feeling, and it was the exhaustion of all the work that I'm doing, um, all the ways in which I'm, you know, giving out energy. And one of the main ones was on social media, as well as the various, okay, that's a problem, but the various lanes of mahi that I be having going on, and exhaustion, right? And the anger about that's all my doing. I even said to the doctor, well, that's my problem. That's a me problem, working so much, because we were talking about the effects that, lack of sleep and stuff have. And I'm like, that is a me problem. I know exactly what I got to do. I got to start making some changes around what is a priority. And even before I got to the doctor, I was like, why am I showing up sharing on social media? Like, I'm working for the gram for what? Because you're a coach and you need to be out there. Like, and I really broke it down. Like, I really took it back to like the roots, the whakapapa of like where I started with this. By the way, we're like already in we're rolling. We're rolling on the
Yes, we are.
Pūrākau. And yeah, the so I went into the whakapapa, and I won't go into that now because this is context, not the whole damn like main course. And I was already upset before I got to the doctor. And then afterwards I was like, I was so mad. I could feel all this anger, all this riri inside of me. And I just needed a space to, break all the way down with someone, who sees me and knows me, and can relate to
Tika.
to the situation, you know, understands the lived experience of what I'm about to say. And I just went all out. And when I say all out, I mean, you know, I I have tools and I use those tools even when I'm in the middle of a hurricane. And the tool that I pulled out was self-awareness around where's this, like what are some of my deepest fears? And it was this fear of being irrelevant. That's why I'm working so hard, right? The fear of if I don't show up online, it was way more passionate. We're never going to capture the essence of what was spoken between Pania and I half an hour ago. We dare not even try. But I trust that good, delicious stuff will come from this corridor a little later down the track. So, it's all good. But yeah, I had this fear, like this straight up fear. I have this straight up fear of being irrelevant. And the flip side to that is, to the side I want the world to see is me being this influencer, my language was like savior, coach. Um, you know, I don't personally use this word, but it just came up, but you may resonate with healer, someone who does things for other people and gets recognition, right? I love recognition, right? And then there's like the point on the scale, I love recognition, and then it's like, how much recognition do you love, and how often do you love it, and what's that doing for you, and what will you do to get that recognition? What are all the things that you will do to get
How
that
much of
recognition?
yourself would you give?
What links will you go for that power, for that recognition outside of you? And that's where we were at, me looking at the reality of all of what I'm doing to, one, move far fucking away from being irrelevant and stay real tight knit with my relevance, my recognition. That's not the word I just said. Significance, to stay significant and relevant and recognized. And to me, when I'm just talking about this, it's like that's the shadow side of a projector. It's like the forced side of being a projector, a human design projector, and then feeling bitter. So that's where we came through. And then I made reference of a book, and a situation where I have had some self-talk and I outwitted that self-talk. And the book is called Outwitting the Devil. And then I made reference to like Whiro. And as Pania, so what's the word, reverently does, always, standing tuturu for Te Ao Māori, says, oh, kind of not like Whiro. And I was like, yeah, yeah, yeah. And this is the thing I do. I'm like, yeah, yeah, like, but I also know and love Pania, so I'm like, okay, fucking go back. Because she doesn't say nothing for nothing. And she's not trying to like be a smart ass, although, you know, um, or challenging for no reason. And we've come to grow that relationship. Like back in the day, I'd be like, are you doing that just to piss me off? Or, you know? But now it's like, nah, it's you're doing it for because you're too to do to, the kaupapa. And so I was like, okay, go back and tell me what you meant about Whiro. And this is where I'll hand the reins over. But the projective piece that she spoke was I don't know. There was many pieces and the timeline's not matching up. But it was something along the lines of
For me, it was about how important our pūrākau are for us as tools to be able to help ourselves. And I'd love to talk about Whiro in the context of the story you just gave. Right
sure.
before we jumped on this call, I shared a piece that I'd written on Instagram a couple years ago about Whiro. And I just read it over to have a quick reminder of what I thought about Whiro then. And it was good that it jogged my memory in a way, especially with you bringing up the irrelevant kōrero. There was a pūrākau I found about Whiro, and as I was saying to you earlier, like te ao Māori, te iwi Māori, every iwi, every hapu have different kōrero about our atua, about our rangatira, about our tipuna. And so this one story really stood out for me. And it was about, we all know the pūrākau about Pane climbing up the 12 heavens to receive the baskets of knowledge, right? So the kōrero goes that Pane was picked over all his other siblings. And so when we think about Pane, he's one of our great atua because he was the one who separated Rangi and Papa, but he wasn't actually the eldest. He wasn't the mātāmua. He was somewhere in between, like an insignificant number. But he was always chosen to do these big feats. And the day that somebody was being chosen to go grab these baskets of knowledge, Whiro put their hand up. Whiro wanted to be the one to go up there. And Whiro was overlooked and told, nah, you're not quite good. And oh, no, you're irrelevant to the story. Like, you're not going to be the hero of the story. It's going to be Pane. And so Whiro tried to get up there before Tane. So Tane had a more straightforward way of going up, and Whiro was trying to get all around the edges and all the wiry and backward ways to be able to get up to the baskets. And of course, Tane got there in the end, but there was a lot of mamai that came with Whiro failing, with Whiro being overlooked, with Whiro being seen as the irrelevant sibling and the position of the family that they were. And so it's because of all these feelings of bitterness that Whiro has is why diseases come up within our body, why sicknesses come up, rashes come up, things on our skin and everything like these. That was the whakaaro of Whiro when you were repeating this irrelevancy. It's because Whiro was always trying to be that sibling that's like, I want to do something for the whānau, for the tribe, for the iwi, for the hapu, and you're not picking me. You don't see me.
You know when you take a rongoa or medicine or whatever your rongoa is, whatever your medicine is, when you take that and then you feel that relief, that's what that story was for me. To validate my story, my experience, and I can see it, the wanting to be seen and heard. Very strong theme in my life, and a lot of, I'm gonna make human design references. Whānau, if you're listening,
Right.
you're like, what's human design? I'll put a link in the notes. It's a framework of seeing how unique you are, designed to move in the world. It does exist in Te Ao Pākehā, so it is a kind of a Western concept, but something I just read on this tea that I've just bought, a tohu, just before I was jumping on this call, and I even have my teapot right here. And it caught my eye. It says "Return to Nature" on the box, and that is what we're talking about with human design. It's returning to our natural way of being, so that we can be the most of a koha, the most koha to the collective, to our community, to our iwi, to our hapu, to our family, to our whānau. So those are the references of human design, and what I often do is use it as a framework, and find where that mātauranga exists in our indigenous cultures. So as with me having open heart, me koe, Pania, you have a open heart center, open emotional center. These themes of, you know, um, the feelings of not, that mamai, that irrelevancy, that questioning of that. But even more so for me, and I think yours is defined as my G center, my identity center is.
Mine is not defined either.
Yours is not okay. That's why we friends up in here. So um so who are we? Where is our place? Where is our place? Where is our place? Yeah, and as you said, things come up in our body. And that is whiro, called, getting our attention, communicating with us. What is the lesson here to learn? Now, do you remember, or do you want me to give context? But go ahead if you remember our powerful kōrero about
Pūrākau and Whiro. Give me a bit of a
yeah. Give me a thread. Give me a thread.
Oh, I can just look at mine.
No, there was something you said and I wanted it, and then it. No, okay, I've got it. Just let me breathe. So, key piece, what got us started on this thread about whiro, was my mention of the devil and putting the devil and whiro in the same sort of category, and you went on to share a pūrākau, which I'm sure you'll share in a moment. For those listening, that then took us into the importance and putting those two side by side, and we saw how different they were, so yeah. Well, can I repeat it, because that was the first time I'd heard that.
You can repeat it if I because I know the way you perceive things, and then also turn that into story afterwards is always so beautiful.
So the way, because I was like, if I be honest, I had this likening of, it was my words that said, I outwitted the devil like fiddle. And that was the catalyst for this conversation, when Pans was like, not really, not really the same, because when the missionaries came, they likened whiro to to the devil. And I'm not going to repeat the next bit because it was so embodied when you said it. So I'd love for you to share that again, that corridor about um what they made it mean. Yeah, if that makes sense.
Hopefully. I. So I guess when the missionaries wrote about Whiro, they compared it to their devil because in their eye they have, in the Western eye it's this good versus evil kōrero that they always have and having to triumph over evil and bad and kino. But in Te Ao Māori, Whiro was a way when Whiro would come up for us, when we would have these diseases, when we'd think about Whiro being in Rarohenga, it was a way to be able to read the tohu around us and to be able to read what's going within us as well. And it was by understanding Whiro, understanding why Whiro comes up within us, understanding why Whiro appears for us, even these feelings of irrelevancy, of bitterness, all of these whakaaro, it's because we were learning from these things rather than, as you said before, Jade, outwitting, trying to beat Whiro, trying to beat the devil, trying to fight against, draining our energy to fight against this entity, where in fact Whiro is us. When we think of the atua that we talk about in Te Ao Māori, they are all elements of us. And if we reject Whiro, if we resist against Whiro, we are rejecting ourselves. We are rejecting us. We are rejecting these diseases that come up within us. Why do these diseases come up within us? We have to ask those Pūrākau. They're coming for a reason. It's not just because, it's not even because we're bad. It's because something's happened and it's something we have to learn from. And so it's this kōrero about all our atua, but this kōrero about Whiro, when we get these skin diseases, when we recognize Whiro within us, when maybe Whiro comes up in our moemoeā or Whiro comes up in the kōrero and in our Pūrākau, we can think about, okay, what is the lessons we're learning and what can we do to prepare for what's to come? And so that's what I was getting into and getting really passionate about, was that our Pūrākau for Indigenous people are so important, because it didn't matter about the semantics, about if they were scientifically correct or not. It was the Pūrākau, the story within it, that would help us prepare for what was to come, so that we could, as I've learned from Jade, respond rather than react. Because when we're in a stage of reaction, we're on our toes the whole time. We're looking from here to there, and we don't have time to recover. We don't have time to breathe. We don't have time to rest. But when we're responding, because we have this taonga tukuiho, kōrero tukuiho of Pūrākau behind us, we can slowly take everything that comes at us one at a time. And we have the tools, and we know exactly where those tools are, and we can pick them out and we can use them, and we know we're safe. And so when we see Whiro come up with us, we know why, or we can easily see why, and we can feel into that. And we can walk with Whiro to be able to get to the other side, rather than trying to push him off the path that we're walking on, rather than telling him to go away, rather than pretending that Whiro isn't there. We walk with Whiro.
By the way, whānau, this is not your usual podcast episode where we just talk at you. Okay, we're in this, right? This is real life, what the medicine, the rongoa that we are using right now, right? This is not something we studied and we preach at. This is something that we use. How good was that? E te whānau, if you are at home, just like, yes. Receive that rongoa. That is not a speech. That is medicine. That is guidance. That is medicine. That is invitation for you to activate your interest, your intrigue, your curiosity about Pūrākau, about our atua, about our rongoa, that's what that was. That's not your average podcast episode information situation. That's the goods, right? That is the goods.
Right.
And as I was sharing my story with Tanya outside the doctors, fully in tears, that was the thing, was that, and my words exactly, I outwitted the devil.
Mm-hmm.
I resisted their wrath, their evilness, their dis-ease, which is resistance. Resistance, push away, not let in. It is external. And this is what we were talking about. This is colonizer vibes, whānau. This is colonizer vibes, guys. This is separate. It's outside of you. And what Pania was just saying, Whiro is us, our atua are us. So if it's me playing tricks on me, there's no one to be mad at.
All
right? It's I am, it can't be tricks. Would I be tricking myself? Or maybe would I be guiding myself? Am I being guided here? There's a lesson here. As Pani was saying, this is a lesson to learn, to receive, to recognize, to receive and recognize and own and take as rongoa. Recognize, receive the rongoa. To prepare, right? To prepare us for, how we respond to the situation. So the difference when you were speaking about it when I was in the car, in the Western world and this concept of the devil being something to push away and resist, yeah, that's gonna just, to me, that's just gonna cause more pain and suffering, because the more you resist, it will persist.
Definitely.
Over and over again until we fucking just break all the way down and have somebody, have a space, have a moment where we can go, okay, what's the learning here? What am I here to receive, Whiro? What am I here to recognize? What is this ailment that I need? Is it resisting versus like recognizing and receiving?
So for me, this podcast, having this all about Pūrākau is so important. As I said before, Pūrākau is what helped our people, what helped all people, but we've forgotten the Pūrākau, not by choice. It was forcibly taken away from us. But speaking about Pūrākau again is what's going to help us, is going to help us with the tools. It's going to help us with our tamariki. It's going to help us be able to face whatever obstacle comes to us.
An objection, thought, a whakaaro that I've had around Pūrākau or abstract story, which is me just resisting my own nature. Like, for example, there's no reason why today, I mean, there's a direct link I can see right now as to why I just had a mental, emotional nervous breakdown this morning and woke up feeling rough. And it's because I asked for it, right? Last night, I was reading, 1 second. Night is a Sharkskin Drum by
Wow.
Haunani K. Trask.
Oh.
Fierce mana wahine. And
Right.
e te whānau, let me tell you that this book, which I bought in Hilo on the Big Island, along with many other books, these poems are all very small. It's very poetic. It creates imagery. It's not literal. You can't literally read this and know what it means. There is symbols and there is modi and there is mana in these words. And I've read 3/4 of this, because you think, oh, it's not much, not many words. But I was like, oh, I'll just take heaps of these antibiotics, And then I wake up and I'm like, ooh, it was a rough night. The tone of this book, if you know, if you know this fire, Honani K. Trask, she's passed away now, but she's gangster. And every line in this book is gangster. Like when I remember reading it last night, I was like, Fire Auntie is leaving no crumbs. Like she is not messing around whatsoever. Like if there's a point, she's going straight to it and in an abstract poetic way. I was like, ooh, like this is big. Like this is big. Auntie, like she's the level. It's like, whoa, just heading straight to that point. It gets straight into there. And if you've ever heard her speak, it's so straight to the point. You tourists are killing our land. America is pollution. It's just straight in, no muck around. And that was the vibe I was getting through this whole book. And then I wake up today and I have the day I have today. These Pūrākau activate, our Pūrākau activate. And when we choose to look at them, and we feel empowered by them, we're also asking for, when we're like, oh, I want to be that gangster. Do you? Do you want to be that gangster? Okay, here's what you've got to look at. You've got to look at where your, where your egos, small self, whatever you want to call it, is attached to being relevant. You look at that before you think about being in, if you want to listen and being, that powerful in your voice, that tuturu in your voice, well, you have a look at this here. And right on time, Whiro comes through with, here you go. And yeah, that's the power of our Pūrākau, as you were saying.
I love that contrast there about how activated you were last night and this mana wahine vibes, and then come all the way rock bottom the next day. But it's a lesson, because you're right, because you can't be that mana wahine if you can't also be with Whiro. Hey, if you can't face Whiro, what's the hope for anywhere else? Because Whiro will come and Whiro will show up big and slow you down, hold you down. And so you have to face Whiro and understand so that you can move forward and be the mana wahine that you see in yourself as well.
All of this language you're using, is shadow work.
It is, yeah. Mm.
This right, and 2020, I made uh, not a promise, but it was sort of like a vow to myself to find where this mātauranga, this knowledge that I'm learning in the Western world, because that's what's readily like accessible and available. And there's something you said today that just shook me to my bones. What got all the way into my bones, especially you being a projector, got all the way into my bones when you said, well, the reason why you have like you know, our stories, our knowledge was removed. So that's why you have to look out while you're looking out and coming back in, you know, and linking it. Um, and that's what I'm kind of doing here is correct me if I said that wrong and if you meant it differently.
No, that was
Um,
Tika.
yeah, it's like using these, yeah, um, understanding these thought systems or this mātauranga, but finding where it first existed in our pūrākau and our stories and bringing them back alive. This is not something we've read books on. We've read books on mātauranga in the Western world, human design, shadow work, archetypes, te mea, right? All of these modalities we've studied and researched. But the finding and locating where that same medicine is in our indigenous worlds, we didn't then find books on that. It comes through us. It comes through our knowing of our atua, of our stories that exist in our DNA. So the fact that these stories are even coming out, like this podcast episode, is proof that our atua are alive and kicking through us because we wouldn't have the language for it. We wouldn't, it wouldn't, it wouldn't make sense. The math wouldn't math, but it's mathing. It maths all the way up. And yeah, that language that you're using, being with Whiro to understand, to receive, to recognize that that's shadow work. Turn, face, feel. Stop running from Whiro. Stop resisting Whiro. Why are you running? It's coming with a gift. Right? But it isn't as simple as ask and it is given. Ask and you're given a hiding, and then it is given.
Tika.
What would you love for um what would you love to see with our Pūrākau, Ehine?
I'd love to see them shared is the main thing. Like even my head's going off now. It's like, okay, how do we wānanga? How do we start saying Pūrākau in circle and spaces now? Like that's my level 52. No, not even. It's possible, definitely possible. And I think it's because my head wants 100 people at these wānanga ka. I only need one. So I just to be shared, to be spoken, because as I said before, they've been removed. So we have to put them back in our lives. We have to make it a normal part of our everyday is saying these pūrākau, is remembering our atua, therefore remembering us.
Mm. I would love to leave it there, but but that was so perfectly perfect. And I just realized I didn't bring home the point as to why I brought this book up. The reason why I brought up Night as a Sharkskin Drum and the poetic, abstract nature of reading something like this is I understand the hesitance, maybe, to read Pūrākau, to learn Pūrākau, something that may come up as like,
Mm.
what's the point? What I can't literally, there's no like ABC 1, 2, 3 steps for me in here. I can't see the medicine in here in these lines.
Right.
Well, what can I say? What can I say? Yeah. Wow, if you can't see it, then you won't.
Mm-hmm.
If it's not there, then it won't be there for you.
Mm-hmm.
You know, before ABC 1, 2, 3, logic, write it down, write it down, record it on a video, put it on a TikTok, right? Our tupuna, complete trust in the unknown, in the unseen. That was our world. And that's what we're being asked to go back to. Trust in
Mm.
the unseen, the unknown. Um, Surrender, learn to surrender again, learn to open, learn to connect, learn to slow down. All of these things are required to access these. These are the down payments for being able to access these types of rongoa. Can we? Well, that's up to us.
Mm-hmm.
That's up to the individual. But it's possible. Mm.
Definitely.
Hmm. Anything else you'd like to share, Hine?
No, I think that was all of it. We'll continue to share Pūrākau. That's the only thing.
I absolutely agree with that. Um, this podcast of mine kind of just it grows many branches and many directions, and it's not just mine, it's all of ours.
Mm-hmm.
It's and let's just use this space right here to just, yeah, as you said, bring our Pūrākau back, put them back in place,
Mm-hmm.
and then build upon them from there, continue the kōrero.
All right.
Okay, we're gonna leave it here, whānau.
Talk like Yoda.